Shabbat Shalom. This week's Parsha, Parshat Vayigash, holds the conclusion of the Joseph saga. Over 3 Parshiot, 3 weeks of our cycle, we learned of Joseph as a favored child, his dreams, his slavery, his plans to save all Egypt from the coming famine, and finally, a tricky reunion with his family. In this week's Parsha, we finally see the conclusion of their reunion, the change of each of the main characters that has allowed for teshuvah, repentance, forgiveness, and renewal. Over the years of Joseph's servitude and rise to power, he has come to understand that what his brothers had done in anger was, in fact, God's plan for him, fate, or destiny, if you will. As Jews, we have a strong belief in free will, and the concept of destiny is a bit challenging for me to buy. But I do believe in silver linings and making meaning out of challenging situations. Clearly, Joseph has come to understand the utility of being sold into slavery was to be able to interpret Pharaoh's dreams and save the nation. Whether this is all due to God's plan or making the best of a situation, I leave it to the eyes of the beholder. But having come to this conclusion that he is here not because of his brother's evil deeds, but because of God, he is able to forgive his siblings and encourage them to forgive themselves. Before he can acknowledge this forgiveness, he must first put them to the test. He sets them up to have similar circumstances of his childhood and see if they will behave in the same with the same disdain towards Benjamin as they had toward him. Judah, the very brother who suggested selling Joseph into slavery, is the one who is committed to his life to preserve Benjamin's. He has vowed to his father, and he steps up to Joseph and Joseph's guards to free Benjamin, even at risk of his own freedom. Judah's choice to behave differently is what Joseph needs to see to feel safe, revealing his identity to his brothers. While revealing his identity, Joseph lets his brothers off the hook. He enables them to turn from the past towards the future, to the new status with a new outlook on life. The children of Israel go from the land of Canaan to Egypt with all their families. They will have a new life in Egypt, one protected and provided for by Joseph, and thereby by the Egyptian people. Their ways will continue to differ from the land they live in, but life will now be indebted to Joseph in a way it never was before. As we turn toward the secular New Year, I always think of the goals of the Jewish New Year, a time of teshuvah, repentance, forgiveness, and return. Our ancestor Joseph is showing one path of teshuvah through his and his brothers' actions. What are the actions we have taken that need forgiveness? What are the actions others have taken that we could forgive? Even without their request, even without their knowledge, even if they are no longer alive with us. What could be offered to your forgiveness like this? Joseph took what must have been terrible trauma, being sold by his siblings, enslaved and imprisoned, and he turned it into a blessing. He found forgiveness for those who had put him in that position, even before they showed that they were deserving. He blessed them with that forgiveness before they had come to apologize on their own terms. What might our lives gain by finding forgiveness for those who have hurt us, whether family members or colleagues or a boss? What are the traumas we have endured that could be forgiven? What are the ways we can find healing even without a person asking to be forgiven? Rabbi Sachs shows the progression of sibling rivalries in the book of Genesis. Cain and Abel leads to murder. Isaac and Ishmael only come together to bury Abraham. Jacob and Esau, they meet and embrace, and then they go their separate ways. But Joseph and his brothers find forgiveness, reconciliation, and coexistence. Sachs argues that this is the beginning of society, the cohesion of a nation. Maimonides states, "For as long as one nurses a grievance and keeps it in mind, one may come to take vengeance." The Torah emphatically warns us not to bear a grudge, so that the impression of the wrong shall be quite obliterated and be no longer remembered. This is the right principle. It alone makes civilization and human relationships possible. From the Mishnah Torah. What is the lesson we can bring into our new year? We live in a very divided time, a world that seems to be harping on grievances and only wishing to blame others for the wrongs, very uninterested in self-reflection needed to see one's own part in nursing those grievances. How might we as a society move into the new year with a Josephian feeling of forgiveness? Sachs reminds us that Joseph first tests his brother to see if they have changed. He states that we need not forgive those who are still in the act of harming us. So how might we do this? How can we build a forgiving society while harm continues to be caused? How can we find forgiveness in our own hearts when fear is being fed in us in every news cycle? How can we start this new year as a new start, as a moment of renewal? I have to acknowledge, I don't know. There is so much out of our control, so much of the world not within our power. Joseph, as the most powerful, might have the ability to forgive because he wields power over his brothers, but they are at his whims. If he was vindictive, they would have no recourse. We have power over some things in our lives, but we are quite powerless against the policies of our nation, the algorithms of social media, the extreme weather, the hatred in other people's hearts. So what can we do with the power we might have? I've been thinking a lot about the ills of our world, the state that brings me fears, from the computers in our pockets that are tremendous tools in life, but also seem to divide us from human to human contact, to the seeming trueness that my children and their generation seem to have little ability to create meaningful friendships. Where I spent hours on the phone with friends from school, my children do not even maintain a text conversation on a regular basis, and they are not alone in this phenomena. More and more adolescents need mental health care professionals to make it through adolescence. And while I am extremely grateful for their care and for the destigmatization that has allowed this, I wonder what is wrong with the world that we are living in that makes this necessary. I believe adolescence was always hard. I could have used more therapy myself, but was it this hard? Then I look at what I do here at Temple. A synagogue is in the business of connection. We build connections between people over time and space, and we connect people to God, something greater than ourselves. We connect people to the past, to the future. There are times I feel like an evangelist saying that religion or what we do in this synagogue might be the answer to this ails society today. Other times I feel like a doctor prescribing medicine that few want to take. We are not the fancy weight loss drug that seems to have only upsides. We are the hard work of diet and exercise, the work that might have failed time and time again, but that we all know as a chore is in fact important to a healthier life. I know that synagogue has benefits to offer for those who partake, and I believe you know that too. Why else would you be here tonight on what most consider to be part of vacation? But the impact we can have if it is only the few who choose to show up feels like yet another thing out of my control, another thing I cannot make better about this world. But I will do my part. What I can control is what I choose to show up to, the quality I bring into the world to you, my community. I will keep bringing joyful music, music that connects you with each other, with our community around the world, and with God. I will continue to learn, to study, to teach. I will continue to visit and care and put into the world the care and connection I hope for. I can only do as much as one person. I can only model as a leader of this community, but I hope that this small piece of control will help me to find the positives in today's society and keep me hopeful, optimistic, and more like Joseph, able to forgive even acts which might sound unforgivable. May this new year be a year of connection. May it be a year of forgiveness and dedication to the best of your abilities. May we find ways to be in relationship, human to human, building the bridges that connect our society rather than the anger and fear that divide it. May we find turning, teshuva, and renewal in this coming 2026.